Have you ever wanted to get off the hamster wheel? You've been sick and tired of the way things are going, sick and tired of whether you've been getting treated a certain way, you've been getting a certain result, things seem to be stagnated, they're not moving, you're not where you want to be, and maybe, truthfully, if you look honestly, you're not who you want to be. This, my friend, is the great hamster wheel of life. And the problem with it is that in the past, this was something that was created by others, but in the present, it was most likely created by you. I'm going to show you how to get off the hamster wheel, why you might be still on the hamster wheel, and how you can live a life of meaning, purpose, impact, power, productivity, and proliferation, right? Have better love, time, life. All of it is on the other side of what I'm going to call the threshold. In every story that you've ever watched, read, or listened to, and actually liked, it never really actually started until the hero stepped across what's called the threshold. Joseph Campbell, creator of the hero's journey, starts out he basically says all stories are structured in a way that's very similar. There's a hero that's called into action of some sort. There's a hero that's called into doing something, and for whatever reason, they almost always deny the call. They do not step across the threshold. That is actually encapsulated your life and my life across a variety. Like look over the years. Look at the things that you felt like you need to do, but you didn't. Look at the things you want, but you didn't take action towards. Look at those things. We all have those things. And if you don't have those, you're not human. It's not normal. Enough of those is going to lead to regret. But if we step across, if once we begin, something magical happens. In a story, that's actually the place where the story begins. The story of Star Wars, A New Hope, begins when Luke Skywalker leaves the farm and joins the rebellion. Follows Ben Kenobi, Obi-Wan Kenobi, into his desert hobo hiding place. That's where it begins. The story begins when someone steps out of what was and into something that's new. The problem is that most of us, we twist around in the same place, and we have enough replacements that help us to vicariously feel like we're actually stepping across the threshold, but we never actually are. Or we have excuses, or we have obligations that compete against this new adventure. But your life, just like the hero's life, never really happens until you step across the line. And the problem with stepping across a line is you're not actually guaranteed success. And that's probably why maybe you haven't stepped across a line. I know it's why I hadn't stepped across a line multiple times. I have worked with maybe not more bad bosses, but I've worked with bosses that it just felt like they were locking me up in shackles and binding me in this slavery that I had to go do all of these things, and there was no freedom of expression for myself in whatever it was that I was doing. But I kept doing it. Why? Because I got to feed this family. I got to pay this bill, because it's what I'm supposed to do, because it's the responsible thing to do. You've been in that place? A lot of us are. And at the same time, there is a mass exodus from what is considered the traditional workplace. There's a mass exodus from some of these other institutions that locked people into, let's just say, a 4, 6, or 8-year degree, college, right? There has been a mass exodus from traditional means of achieving what it is that we desire in life. And there's been a connection to, I think people have been more free to identify what they think is desirable and what is success. We're going to look into a couple of things, and I'm just going to go here. Like one of the things you're going to look at in all of these things, and we have to look at to cross any threshold, is Either you have to be worthy of the journey, or the journey has to be worthy of you. The reason why most of us languish in the place of indecision or in the same place, we're in the same place with our fitness, we're in the same place with our business development, we're in the same place with our living situation, our home, our finances, our relationships, we're in the same place because we either don't see something that's better, doesn't feel clear, we don't believe that there's something better, or we don't think that we're good. So we either don't think that the journey is worthy, or we don't think that we are worthy. And those are a lot of times the two things. If you look down at the root of it, that's what's happening. Now, the way it bubbles to the surface is we will develop excuses. I can't because. So if you have any becauses, or if you have shoulds, I really should do this. I really should do this. It's like all the shoulds and the becauses keep you frozen in place. And it keeps you from actually looking at what you truly desire. Keeps you from looking deeply at something that's calling you. Calling you. And that could be in work. It could be in life. It could be in so many different areas. I love that work that is done with intention and purpose and from the soul is called a vocation. Vocation, voca. It means calling, vocalizing, calling. So there are things that can separate you from your calling if you allow it to, and it usually comes in the form of excuses. It comes in the form of shoulds. It comes in the form of lots of things, but ultimately it really is just you either saying, I'm not worthy, or it's not worthy. So how do we get out of the hamster wheel? I'm gonna draw a line between two things. I think they're both good, but maybe one is better to choose. One is aspiration, and the other one is ambition. Ambition is when you want to get something done. You have a goal. You want to achieve a certain thing. You want to achieve a level of success. Maybe it's have these cars, have this house, have this money. Have this, it's like stuff it's visible that you can go out, hunt, and bring back. Like there's something, you have to be driven to have ambition. Now, I'm on the other side of that. I've never actually been driven for more. Maybe you're like me. But then there's this other thing that I find that is equally valuable, if not more valuable, and that's aspiration. Aspiration has to do with being a person. Who is it that you want to be? It is interesting, right? If you think about anything where any of your guru, self-help coaches, any of these people, they boiled it down to, and I follow this pattern too, of be, do, have. Who do you want to be? What would that person do? And now what would that person have? But all of it is circular, and it's connected to an identity. So you will never get off a hamster wheel until you actually have a heart transplant, until you actually have a new identity. Because if you are going by the old identity, you have to do all of the things that the old guy did, the old gal did. You're going to stay on the hamster wheel, and you're going to keep going. So identifying your aspiration is a good one. Let's see if I memorize this one. James Michener said, the master in the art of living makes little distinction between his work and his play, his labor and his leisure, his mind and his body, his information and his recreation, his love and his religion. He hardly knows which is which. He simply pursues his vision of excellence at whatever he does, leaving everyone else to decide whether he is working or playing. To him, he's always doing both. That's a part of my definition of success is when work and play become one. That's mine. Maybe it's yours. Maybe we share that. I mean, James Michener wrote that poem. It connects with me. Others really identify with the man in the arena, where it's not the critic that counts. It's not the one who points out how the strong man stumbles or how the doer of deeds could have done them better. But the credit belongs to the man or the woman who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, who knows the great enthusiasms and the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at best knows the triumph of high achievement, and at worst, at least, their place shall never be with the cold and timid souls who know neither victory nor defeat. And it's like, I left out the while daring greatly, spends himself on a worthy something. There's something where it's, but it's like, whatever it is, like, it's like some people, that's what grabs them. It's the place of the battle. I'm fighting. Like, that's something that's success for them. And I would say you can't have an aspiration if you don't have your own idea of an ideal of an aspiration. Now, if I were to take you into a few things that might be you, each of these, wow, where'd it go? Let me just get to my wheel here. Each of the personalities has a different reflection of this, a different way of, I would say, identifying success or finding their inspiration. And inspiration literally means, like, it means just breath, but also, the way that it's laid out according to the etymology of the word, it actually means like it's God breathed. Like, you have this enthusiasm, this inspiration. And if you want more enthusiasm in your life, maybe you might want to identify your aspiration. So for the visionary, maybe if you frame things in a way that feels more like you are creating something new, like you're creating a beautiful future, like you're making art for people of some type, or you're bringing people to a place that they couldn't have imagined. You're using imagination to make something happen. You're magically transforming something for others. Or if you're a strategist, it is creating a plan. Maybe it actually does have to do with the fight. I'm working with a strategist recently, and we realized that the threshold for him almost has always been defined by others, and so he's really good at stepping across the line. If he sees something, if he sees a damsel in distress, if he sees something that's requiring him to step into action, he does like none other. But what I'm actually encouraging this guy to do is to go pick a fight. Go find a villain. Go find the bad guys and go pick a fight. Stop waiting for other people to give you the reason to jump into action. Stop it. Okay? If you are a connector, your aspiration might have to do with saving people, helping people, healing people. It's going to be people oriented. If you're a pioneer, your success might be doing new things, conquering bold new places. There's like, we all have this different view on this. And I'm not saying you're limited to your personality type, but certainly look and borrow. Look and borrow so that you can find either a calling that's worthy of you, or you can feel worthy of the calling. I'm going to talk to you about that in a second. But before I do, I want to talk to you about the wizard who couldn't bring himself to understand the magic of the marketplace. And because of that, he died alone amongst the pigeons. This wizard was born, he wasn't an actual wizard, he was a genius, brilliant, born in Croatia back in 1856. And from an early age, he was different. He had a photographic memory. He could memorize machine parts and drawings in his mind. And he spoke several languages, just like a polymath, brilliant genius. He came to America. He started working with a great American inventor named Thomas Edison. And he contributed. He had ideas like no one else. He invented alternating current. Of course, we're talking about Nikola Tesla. It invented electricity that we use in our home today. He invented wireless communication, Bluetooth, radio, all of these things came from his brain and principles that he uncovered and discovered. Electric motors, fluorescent lighting, X-ray imaging, all of these things from one person. But the problem is that Tesla, he was afraid to bring these things out. And he just thought if he had the right ideas that the right things would happen. And eventually he did form a partnership with someone because he realized that Edison was, he was taking his stuff to the capital market. It was helping people who were willing to pay for it. And so Tesla allied himself with a guy named J.P. Morgan. And J.P. Morgan didn't play around. He actually was funding his experimentation in wireless energy, actually. And when he realized that wireless energy couldn't be monetized, that Tesla had no intention of really creating something that could be monetized, Morgan pulled the plug. And when Morgan pulled the plug, Tesla and all of what happened basically collapsed. His ideas were a gift to the world, but his inability to actually really formulate something decisive and to really actually bring these things to others, it all led to this really bad allegiance, which also led to him dying basically in his time alone amongst the pigeons, broke. Now I know we don't think of him that way because of the movies. We don't think of him that way because of, Tesla vehicles. He was heroic and genius with the ideas that he had, but he was afraid. He was afraid. And this gets to the heart of what I think is stopping a lot of us from actually crossing the threshold, because here's the truth. When we look at what's in front of us, relationship growth, business growth, life growth, attaining what we want, there is a risk. And when we look at the risk, many of us, all of us, look and we say, I might not be enough. That's what Tesla did. Kept him stagnant. It might be what's keeping you stagnant as well. And yet, that is the great invite to the sojourn, to the great adventure of life. Because nothing happens, my friend, until the hero steps across the line. No story begins until someone steps across. And sometimes we shrink the vision to match what we think is possible, but I'm asking you, what's possible for you? What would happen if you went all in on something? And actually, let me ask you this. What would happen if you went all in on you? What would happen if you saw yourself as worthy? I know you think maybe you are. I talk to the overachievers. You think you're worthy. Maybe you think that's your problem. But deep down, if you overserve people as a connector, it's because you think your value is not enough. Deep down, if you fight and you try to get more facts as a strategist, or you try to become exactly perfectly right, it's because you're battling against value and worthiness. Deep down, if you feel like your ideas aren't good enough to actually bring to market and test and ask and see, it's because you think you're not worthy. Visionaries. Deep down, if something doesn't seem novel and new enough, inventive and witty enough, you don't do it. Because here's what's going to happen. The moment you step across the line, you must rely on the aid that comes to you. It's just true. It's like a baby born into the earth. I mean, golly, that's a threshold. With no guarantees, man. That womb was nice, floaty, nourished, didn't even have to feed yourself, and all of this stuff. And coming into the world, it's new. And it probably sucks. Going into the world, at the place where you are going to be stepping into is also the same. And the truth is there are partners waiting for you along the way, but they cannot appear until you jump into battle, until you jump into the adventure of your life. It's interesting that they actually call a new business as a new venture. And there's just no guarantees with these ventures. But the one thing that happens is that when you step into what you're called to do, your vocation, what you can't put away, that keeps signaling you, keeps beckoning you, when you step into that, others arise to help you. Friends, what happened? Luke joins the rebel force. Boom. There's Han Solo. Boom. There's C-3PO. Boom. Like all of a sudden, there's this gathering of friends that help to propel you towards your calling. God himself is waiting for you on the other side of that line. Words are going to be available to you. Thoughts are going to be available to you, but they're only available to you outside. The lazy man stays inside, it says, and never goes outside, turning her over and over on his bed, saying, oh, there might be lions in the streets. I'll go out tomorrow. No more excuses. See yourself as worthy to step across the line, or see whatever's on the other side as worthy of you. It's worthy even if you fail along the way. These people need your help if you're a connector, or I'm fighting these villains if I'm a strategist, or this is new enough for me to go, I'm just going to try it if you're a pioneer, or this is going to be inspiring. I'm going to find new things if you're a visionary. Worthiness. I'm worthy, or the calling is worthy. And if neither of those is happening, you're living in the mundane. And I would say, ask yourself, pray, right? Journal, write, listen, find it. You're worthy of it. It's worthy of you. Step into it. Don't be afraid. You're going to find what it is, but it's only on the other side of the first step. Hope this helps. And until next time, I'm going to start taking questions.